and Rebecca's going to talk about this, I'm sure, but the T-shirt campaign is fabulous, and the fact that it's Facebook and all of that. I just can't believe that such a small community, that you came up with so much great stuff. You know, such a small team, such a small everything. Just very, very impressive. The video that you did of Mrs. Stern was fabulous. Pieces that we saw, just great. I'd love to see the rest of it. Maybe I can online. And the collecting the cans of food. Did you know that that it was Hunger Games? You know, that you were collecting food for that. You know, it's a nice twist to that. I just thought it was terrific. Just one thing about the Israel advocacy, and maybe this is to all of you. You know, and I was telling Rabbi Weil this before. I went to somebody's house in Israel, beautiful, beautiful place in the old city, and this couple hosts Israeli soldiers. The names of the Claymans, Abba and Pamela Clayman. They're very good friends of mine. They host Israeli soldiers for meals all the time as part of Kiruv efforts. So they host them Friday night, they host them Shabbos lunch, Shabbos Shudas. Once I was there for a program, and it wasn't on a Shabbos or Yontif. I was there for a meal, and somebody sitting at the table with us, and I'm getting to a conclusion after the story, but somebody sitting at the table with us was a young man wearing a baseball cap, a white T-shirt, and jeans, in very good shape, and he was talking to the soldiers about his Army experience. He was in the paratroopers and telling them stories and telling them about, you know, what an interesting time he had. Before he was in the Army, he was a male model in Tel Aviv. As part of his discussion, he got into a discussion about the Haredim. And you know, in Israel, there's a big problem. One of our biggest problems is the secular Haredi divide, and right now it's even harder. But he got into a discussion about the Haredim, and the soldiers were all, yeah, I would never serve with the Haredi. I wouldn't even sit in a room with them. I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't eat at a table with them. I wouldn't do anything because, you know, they just don't believe in anything we believe in. They're so different. They're so unacceptable. The guy goes upstairs to the bathroom, allegedly, and he takes the baseball cap off, and the payas come down, and he puts on his bekisha, and he puts on his hat, and he comes downstairs, and he sits down in the same seat that he was in before, and the soldiers say to him, you know, no, get up, the guy, what are you doing here? The guy went upstairs, he'll be down in a second. And he told them, you know, who he was. And he explained to them that we're not that different, obviously. You could see that. It had an unbelievable effect on those soldiers. They stayed for hours afterwards talking to him about what his life is like and what their lives are like and how interesting it is. The actor, the Rabbi Olisker, dressing up or acting as, supposedly supposed to be acting as a Palestinian or whatever. It's an interesting twist to take somebody to act out the role of the other side and see how that works. You know, I'm just suggesting that in the future in the advocacy programs, it'd be a great idea to take that example and use it as possible programs in the future.
Well, I can't say enough about the T-shirt. I love the T-shirt. I think that was really creative. And I even really love that you gave us a job to do. I thought that was the presentation was just great. That way you engaged us and had us participate. And of course, the Facebook piece of it is really a big positive. And again, the visual, that sense that you can see the idea come live. I thought your Holocaust project was my favorite, really. I love that young woman and her assuming the identity, and that really has a terrific message, because it's not just about remembering. I want to be careful that we don't just remember the Holocaust, that we now do something else with it, take it on, make it a part of ourselves, and that really came across in that video, so I love that, that's great. And it should be reiterated what Phil said, for such a small community, and for two people, I was really impressed by what you were able to put together.
Yeah, and one thing you were talking about, you had a disadvantage to all the other teams. You don't all go to the same school from, 8 to 4, 8 to 3 together. And the fact that you guys, as a community, you put it together like that, it just blew us away. It just blew us out of the park.
So last but not least,